Good morning, beautiful people. It's your girl, Leanne Campbell, Blisstout. It's our Heart-Based Community podcast series. I've got some amazing friends that I'm waking up to 6:30 in the morning to do this with. Usually record in the afternoon, but I'm like so waking up to do this because it's a project. Welcome, Elle and Sergio and Saskia.
Thank you, Leanne. It's such a pleasure to
you.
be here, part of your Eco Community podcast. And yeah, really interested to chat with you about all the things that are going on.
Yeah, so just you got bamboo behind you. It's a bamboo project. Why don't we talk about the location you're in right now? Get started with that, and maybe a little bit prior to what got you there. Maybe your connection with each other, your love.
Oh.
Well, we're in Colombia, in the rainforest. It's a valley called San Blas. And we actually came here because it's the land of Sergio's grandfather. It used to be a cattle farm. And we've basically decided to come here and, with the abundance of bamboo, follow our architectural passions and create a bamboo village, essentially.
So I had been living in the UK for about 18 years. And right at the time of a big life transformation, feeling, I was ready to move on from life in the UK, we met with Elle. And Elle was also in a very, one of those moments in life where massive transformation is happening as well. And somehow both our journeys suddenly intertwine into like a vortex that suddenly, well, let's say I knew about this place, the San Blas Valley, and all the bamboo that was here. And we thought, well, what if we go and test what it feels like to be there? And so we with some contacts in the UK, we organized a workshop for bamboo architecture. And so we came and we had 20 participants. We led some kind of construction workshop here. That was in 2018. And at the end of the month of building this kind of sculpture in bamboo, and it was all over, and it had been really amazing. And Elle said, well, why don't we just live here? I mean, and then, well, so it's been since 2018 that we've been imagining this place as our home, and developing much more of a craft, I'd say. I mean, before we were architects, designers, and very passionate about design generally, and had both explored, let's say that, as I was saying, some kind of stepping out of the mainstream architecture, going into like a life transformation where we wanted something that felt more meaningful, more in that aligned with the spiritual journey that we were now aware of, that we were in, and so since then, architecture has become this beautiful space of co-creation between us, and bamboo is the beautiful material that has, well, provided the possibility of that as well.
Yeah, it was actually crazy because when we came to do this bamboo architecture workshop with these students, it was like we'd gone from the UK in the summertime, and it was lovely living our lives. I was doing architecture in one way, Sergio was doing architecture in another way. And being here, it was like there was just so much vibrancy and vitality, and you can grow so much food, and life was just so abundant and so rich. And it was like, wow, imagine if we could just live here. Like, this could be real.
Yeah, I've watched you guys on your travels, and after meeting you, I think it probably was 2018, before you guys had left. We had met at the Eternal Abundance. You had done a course, and then you guys were ready to go. So I watched you go through a process. First of all, I just want to be grateful to the spirit of your love and the ability of love to transform each other. I think that's a foundation that I've learned for many years, being a single mom, and really hearing and understanding the dedication and the opportunity that good people can give to each other. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
That's very important for success, and also to build the dream project with the power of two, and the ability to let your love grow. This vision is really what's feeding what's to come, and that's a beautiful love story. It could be a beautiful movie.
Oh.
Oh, I agree. Like, I mean, we all watch it, right? Like, I mean, our own life story is a beautiful movie. So I feel like you guys sent me some PDFs of this location, and I saw, you know, the work that you had put into it. And I was just breathtaking because I'm working on cleaning up a lot of projects of my journey of like 15 years, putting on shows. And I know what it's like to be a part of a team. First of all, team building, the essence, the finer essence of your soul love and the belief and just the flow. Like there's something natural in even bamboo. Bamboo, like in years of meditation, is the empty vessel. So we always imagine our body like a bamboo receiving flow and existence giving us and nurturing us and co-creating with us. So I feel like bamboo is just another really great, strong, stubborn, wild part of nature that just keeps growing and it holds still in the rain for so long, that it's above you right now. So I guess it's really taking care of you guys through these thunderstorms or whatever you guys get over there.
A lot of
Yeah.
thunderstorms. Yeah. It's actually incredible being in the bamboo grove because we kind of take part in the whole process from harvesting the bamboo to treating the bamboo to building with the bamboo. And so you're walking through the bamboo grove, kind of choosing which bamboo poles are going to be part of the next building. And these tall, kind of massive beings just soaring above you, swaying like this. And it's really incredible to kind of try and bring that energy into an actual building project as well. So you feel like you're held in a space which has that aliveness and can bring something more dynamic to your being.
And for it to dry out and to be so strong and it still have so much life force, like there's so much to gratitude of everything that we have, everything that we do, and how nature is offering us so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real incredible I guess coincidence in our journey that 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 the land that was being, say, given through my family into our custody. I mean, it's a long story and a long process, but you know, it had been my grandfather's and now it's ours. And it has so many of these groves, and they're very ancient groves, bamboo groves, and they're huge poles at the base. They're about 22 meters tall, and there's other varieties, and yeah, this sense of gratitude comes to me very often. Like, wow, I mean, this just came into our journey, and wow, it's just and it's so readily available to, it so wants to be part of, for instance, a project like ours. Like the more one takes care of the grove, it means one needs to take out some of these poles to be able to allow more poles to emerge in the bamboo grove. So how beautiful that we then get to use in the taking care of the bamboo grove, we then get all the material to you know, take care of our own architecture of building with this material.
Well, that's a beautiful thing to touch on with eco living, because you know, a lot of people would say, well, are we taking from nature? No, nature's giving to us. So we can touch on that aspect of what it is to be really living eco, is like what are we doing to contribute, is that we got to take care of it. And if we're doing something creative to transform it, and then we're allowing people to come to experience it. You guys talk about rewilding. I'm a huge fan of rewilding. I really believe that as we get naked in our skin, we remember the primal energy of our pure positive energy. Our acceptance level is higher. Like the ability not to over glamorize ourselves and to truly come into spirit with nature, I think would be another really big part of your rewilding, and for people to come and visit such a project. Because you know, in the city life, I still see the beauty of what we've done with art and what we've done with, like, say, hairdressing or makeup artistry and fashion. I was a huge part of fashion for 10 years. And I see it as an art, and I see people happy, but I also see the sadness that comes with that journey. I've seen a lot of people sick with not accepting their bodies. They're not body positive. There's mental illness that naturally in nature, just by putting your feet into the ground barefoot, you're re-energizing that vitality of your true self. So maybe we can talk a little bit about your rewilding. It's Ekawa. At Ekawa, we're creating a rainforest village, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you know that what you just said then makes so much brings up so much energy in my heart. The feeling of rewilding and the sense of humans being a contribution to nature. Like human life is part of nature. It's not like we should take ourselves away from nature and imagine how could nature flourish without human life. But what if the energy of everyday life from the human being is a contribution to nature? And that's a founding principle of what we're doing here. It's almost like there's the urban condition where the the nature's really limited by what we do in a city environment. And then there's the nature reserve where the humans kind of kept out. You can't call a nature reserve your home. And so how can we find our roots? How can we find our connection to nature, to our own nature? And so how can we create this space where nature can thrive, where humans can thrive, and where we can transcend our conditionings and we can, all thrive as part of nature.
You're coming into your pure positive state. I mean, like meditating since I'm 15 years old in my awakening, nature naturally puts you in a meditative state. You're like, there's no effort. You just naturally go into the pure observer. Now, the knowledge of many masters that are passed down where we remember, even though it's within us. I mean, we're stuck in a city full of noise, and we're born into having a name that we didn't even have, a religion, a reality. We take on the positive and negatives of our ancestors. We have to unlearn that, relearn, and then come into what we truly are as a soul and let spirit guide us. What a better place to do that, but with bamboo. Like, what a beautiful place to what a place to go to, like, naturally. Like, I'm a yoga teacher, and I've been really divinely called. But I've been raising 2 kids alone doing this for 20 years. And I had to go through a spiritual awakening in a city and not be affected by the city based on the teaching. So I could see like how much easier it would be in the forest.
That's so true. Like all those energies around, all the wildlife, it's obviously the bamboo grows, but also all the rainforest. I mean, there's a lot of this land that is ancient rainforest, huge trees, beautiful waterways, beautiful streams, and we feel it. I mean, we've been here. It's now going to be 5 years, or 4.5, something like that, and after let's say a few months of just being at home and dipping in the streams like we do, and waking up with the sunshine like we do, and things like that, and then we go and visit somebody in the city, or friends or family, and we feel like the enclosed architecture of the city and all the density of energies, like the very artificial energies in the city, and very rapidly it's so evident now in our at a physiological level, at a energy level. It's very palpable. And I remember before coming here needing, I was in that, I would describe a similar process to what you described, like say living in a city, having a strong connection to a spiritual practice, or to a practice that you're feeling is really uplifting and bringing aliveness to your everyday. But I was so dependent on the practice that I needed hours and hours of practice. I was in a moment of healing, obviously, and arriving here, suddenly I realized the healing happens in the everyday. It's almost like the practice becomes the everyday, just the joy of every step, and every eating experience, every walk in the garden, every moment of co-creation with bamboo. Like the whole of life becomes part of that healing, and it's very beautiful. And the rewilding, I think, it has to do with that. Like to let go of our separation from nature, and just allow all those energies. Like one's energy body becomes so much more open to the surroundings, and somehow in the city we have to enclose because there's so much toxicity in there, in the city. So we become very closed, and somehow, living in a place like where we live, we've definitely, our energy channels have opened up quite naturally. It's very beautiful in that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because end of the day, this is the pathway. If we all could be living a lot more simple, and I feel like the power of thriving still comes through, though. Like, I feel like there's such a joy in hearing your inner voice and creating a passion project. And I feel like you guys have found each other to create your passion project, and then your family had the ability to offer you an opportunity to grow. So, you know, gratitude to good karma and to good family ancestry too, because the foundation of all the good things started somewhere with somebody beautiful connected to you. For you to grow and have an opportunity to take that with your individuality. Yeah, so I just looking at again the PDF, you got watersheds, glades. What are these? These are different different aspects of the play. The sculptural architecture is beautiful. It's just beautiful. Tell us a little bit more about these slides and your story of putting this all together. I feel like there's, oh wow, these are really beautiful what you guys have done, like twisting the bamboo and putting that together. That's really powerful. That's beautiful art. I mean, like, you're really in the flow of existence. I really feel something natural is just passing through your art.
Oh, thank you. So what you've mentioned there, the watersheds, the glades, the sculptural architecture are, let's say, all part of a spatial vision. This is how we, let's say, these are the words we found to describe this impulse that is driving us. And the spatial vision is a vision for a territory where we see a way of living that could emerge here in relation to this concept of rewilding internally and rewilding externally. And so the watershed is like a natural, small, contained territory with its own water and its own nature, where you're really enveloped somehow by nature, right? You're not exposed to a road, you're not exposed to cities, you're not exposed to towns. When you turn off the lights at night, that's it. There's no more lights in the horizon. All you see is the forest around you. So
The stars.
right, and the stars, obviously. And then the glade is our idea of within a watershed with rainforest and bamboo groves and the rest of nature. The glade is an opening where then human living can start happening. No, so it's like the very private space for a family life or for an individual's life to flourish. And within one watershed, we imagine several glades happening. No? So several, let's say, families could each have a real sense of privacy, a real sense of being fully immersed in nature, fully immersed in that in their own process of rewilding, and yet close enough that you feel like you're in community. You feel that like you have neighbors. You feel like there's like-mindedness around you, right? And then sculptural architecture. I don't know if you want to speak about that.
Sorry, just kind of playing with Saskia a little bit. It's interesting having a little baby part of all the conversations we have. Continue on a flow here.
Well, sculptural architecture is, let's say, the term again, we found words that describe, let's say, an impulse that we have in how we create spaces to live in, no, with bamboo. It means that the spaces are very organic, very softly created, one could even describe them as feminine spaces, in that they don't have the harshness of, let's say, straight walls and corners and overly structured let's say roofs and so forth. They are light, they are beautifully rounded, and they're very open to the environment. So because we're in the watershed and because we're in a glade, we have the whole threshold of nature around us that's already protecting us. It's part of the architecture somehow. And then the architecture itself, the bamboo construction, can be very open to that architecture. So just as I was saying earlier, our energy channels in our bodies have opened up a lot as that rewilding process. Well, the architecture itself is very open to the nature around us in such a way that, well, there might be a few partitions internally for different bedrooms or spaces, but essentially one is completely immersed in nature all day. One is not separate from nature. We don't really have walls or fully dividing partitions. What we see behind us here, we call it more like a like a light bamboo partition that then there can be a bedroom behind that, but somehow air flows, energy flows throughout the whole space. And well, I'm just gonna, so you can see, Leanne, like literally we are open there to the garden in front of us. So somehow the architecture is sculptural in that it emanates from a feeling of us as architects being in a space and sensing how could the architecture really open up to that space, and at the same time that natural space, and at the same time protect an inner space that becomes the family dwelling. And Rudolf Steiner is an author we've really connected with, and he described sculptural architecture as the spiritualizing of matter, and that really touched a fiber inside our kind of, you know, our being, like how we were thinking about architecture, and we realized that it's not just a spiritualizing of the bamboo itself, but it's a spiritualizing of our matter, of our physical bodies. So it's allowing us to connect more deeply with each other and with this nature around us. So
yeah, it's kind of, I would say, in addition to the points you just said about sculptural architecture, it's like the feeling of, well, we have our physical body and then our energy body that's all around us is almost filling the space that we're in. And so if the space that we're in is a space that's kind of lively and it's full of like a geometry that's uplifting and it's inspiring to, and it's kind of, it's in transformation, it's dynamic, then it kind of brings an energy to our being. And that's really a principle that we've been exploring. And our project actually began, we called it Dwelling in Symbiosis, and it was almost like a life exploration where we came to live here and we found, so within the land that was Sergio's grandfather's land, parts of the land had been opened to become fields for cattle, and there had been, well, we feel actually like scars to the land because of all this cattle farming and the damage to the soil, the damage to the earth, the erosion and these kind of things. And we thought, okay, so how about if we build our bamboo homes in these opened areas, and we don't touch the beautiful forest that's all around, and we allow that to continue to grow, and we allow the areas that have been damaged through the cattle farming to kind of become more wild, and we rewild and the land rewild and it's this whole process. And so it's been a journey of us exploring this sculptural architecture in a one-to-one scale. It's not just that we make a model, but we literally building it with our hands, which is a beautiful process as well. When you're passionate about architecture, and you can design something, but then also create it with your hands, one-to-one, and adjust it. It's almost like you're playing in the moment. It's not just a design that you copy and you build, but when you're actually living in the space, you can kind of feel, how does that feel to your body, and how can you adjust things so that it can feel that bit more dynamic. And now we've reached a point in this journey where we're ready to share it with others, and so we've created this bamboo village called Ekawa, which is, like Sergio said, a spatial vision full of the watersheds, the glades, the sculptural architecture, the bamboo, and yeah, we're beginning.
So good. You know, I'm having deep realizations about the words that you're using, and like my process of being with my Zen master. A lot of the teachings where we have dynamic meditation in the morning was designed to help us to get into that state which nature is doing for you. But it's a clearing for people that live in a busy lifestyle to have that same feeling and that experience. So I've been practicing that since 2007, when my body went through that awakening. I mean, there's been many processes that I've been through, but that was a very significant one to understanding the receptivity of Divine Mother Earth and our ascension process. And so I really feel like what you're offering is an ability even to share space with rising consciousness more through what you've created with nature, but even these methodologies that allow you to dive deeper, to unshed, but also to energetically become more alive. There's so much to the combination that I see, even with when I was guiding the Kundalini meditation last weekend with women, and what I know happened to me in my calling at age 19, and then just rediscovering this calling to earth. When we truly look into the cosmos within us, And we're in even just touching a plant. What to speak about a property that's surrounded by the power of Mother Gaia, you know, the power of Mother Shakti, Father Shakti, the energies that's pulling every second for everything. How much more beautiful our ascension body and our wise body become activated in an atmosphere like what you're creating. And that's a part of my next chapter. I created Wise Talks. It's integrating so much. And I got a lot going on right now, which are portals to what you're doing simultaneously in nature. So I love being in that rhythm. I think it takes a lot more guts being in a city, but here's the thing about the mind. The mind has nothing to do about how people attract to you. It's the intentions that we have in what we're doing where things always fall into place. There's always been a solution for anybody in the worst possible situation or in the best possible situation. And I feel what you guys have done with your life is you're giving the best possible situation to your health, your mental health, raising a family there, inviting people there. What a beautiful way to transform life.
Oh, Leanne, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, wow. I love the way that there's such a resonance and such a connection between, it's like we're living very different lives, we're doing very different things, but there's such a common thread that runs through them all. It's really beautiful.
It's the cosmic consciousness and being called to, like, we are cosmic. We are multidimensional beings. And the more that we're able to unshed these old patterns or old paradigms of thinking, we truly have a ability to see, well, what is our purpose? Like, what is it when I'm in a city that I know my consciousness knows it wants to serve? Like yesterday, I'm driving through a city street and I see this guy smacked out on drugs. But why is he there? Because he's not connected to nature. He hasn't been connected to the nature within him to choose such a lifestyle. So remember what you're doing and the impact of what you're doing is for so many, it's for everybody. It's for everybody to remember their primal nature of pranayama, through chi, through flow. Nature has a certain energetic frequency to reestablish that, just like what yoga does. When you do sun salutations, you go from a beginning of imbalance in your chakras to a full alignment. When you come in front of a holy book, like any holy book that energetically is in alignment with cosmic consciousness, it aligns your chakras. And breathing in good air in nature, it's simultaneously do that. Are people aware of that? I think what you're doing by rewilding yourself and other people, that's the true transformation to get people cosmically consciousness, like connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, cheers to your schooling, cheers to your architect, the architectural aspect of your hunger and your thirst to be these portals of light, blessings of light. What bamboo is just an empty vessel, and you guys you're giving life back to people with this empty vessel. We have a couple minutes here. Let's wrap up what you guys want to chat about and make an offering to the community of inviting people out. And I feel like we should have more conversations when we have more time. There's just so much to shed on. You know, there's so much to shed on these topics, and I feel we could do a whole series on this. So get that in your planner, whatever you guys want to pick my brain and we want to share, we'll chat about that. But yeah, listeners, anybody that's out there that has a chance to look at this, I highly recommend. You guys are on Instagram, Facebook, where are you guys at so people can check this out?
We're on Instagram and we also have a website. On Instagram, we're Ekawa_Ekawa, and our website is ekawa.co.
And that's spelled EKAWA. And that's kind of the name of the bamboo village and the general kind of project that we're setting out here. And so let's say since we arrived here, we started building our home, and we started building a few other structures to be able to host friends and family and things like that. And let's say now we're moving into a new phase where the actual construction project that we're on right now has a very outward facing kind of public vocation. And it's going to be much more about hosting for retreats or for bigger groups. And we have a shala kind of space. We call it the Inea sky. And Inea is a wild grass. It's actually the ceiling that you see right above us right here in this house. And so let's say that's what we built up until now, has been starting to build up that kind of outward facing aspect of the architecture. And now, let's say, as we're speaking with you and in relation to the PDF that you've been mentioning that we sent you, we're setting out this bamboo village concept, which is an invitation for people who are like-minded, people who feel attracted to that life in nature, life in architecture that is very open to nature, in a place like the San Blas Valley here in Colombia. And what we're setting out is that whole spatial vision that we described, of the watersheds, the glades, the architecture. And for people who are, you know, if they resonate with that way of living, then yeah, we invite them to look at the website, look at our Instagram account, and there's ways of getting in touch and expressing your interest in something of this kind. And so what we see is slowly, let's say, a spatial vision that attracts like-minded people will allow then, let's say, a social
social gathering and
dynamic
beautiful
to emerge.
festivals, beautiful ongoing dance, meditation,
Exactly.
everything, everything.
Exactly.
So
And
yeah, I
if
know
you-
with the
if you're
timeline, because this timeline was only a 45-minute slot, and I don't want it to turn off with us finishing this with so much beautiful information. We can always schedule another talk, but I feel like there's so much to grow here, because I've been building so much myself, and I think it'd be a dream project also to support you guys and to feed through the networks. But I mean, my kids are finally leaving me. You guys just have your daughter. I have my son leaving me this year for the first time. He's 22. My other son is 20. And I did that as a single mom for 20 years. So like, right? And
wow.
at the same time going through a spiritual awakening. So I'm ready to come out to the forest and to support this ongoing project.
You're welcome, Leanne.
Yeah, amazing.
And I'd love to build networks where we do tourism too. So let's talk about that in our next podcast. Community, check out the websites. We will put a link below this when we're done. And so good to be with you both.
Oh, thank you, Leanne. So
Lovely
nice
to see you.
Yes.
Until
and have a
next
great
time.
day. Enjoy your daughter. It's a beautiful concept. There's more to come. Namaste.
Oh.